Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, Jim and Kelly here from Creative Plan Podcast Network.
Hello!
Bringing to you hashtag RPGaDAY2020. We are at August the 6th. We are almost done with the week. And let's hope that we're not so deep into the RPG a day that we can't see the day. You know, like when you're too deep in the forest and you can't see the trees. Because August the 6th is forest.
Among the trees where nobody sees, they hide and seek as long as they please. Get that?
I'm just thinking of the creepy, lollipop guild member hanging in the trees in the woods.
No.
No?
No. I keep thinking of the different songs. And deep in the 100-acre woods where Christopher Robin plays. Of course, then there's, Schwarzwald, Black Forest, Schwarzwaldkuchen, ooh, Black Forest cake.
All the rich chocolate.
This was a hard one because basically just kept thinking it was like, don't go into the forest. Bad stuff is in the forest,
Yeah, pretty much that's the one I was going for, is literally the ancient trope of don't go into the woods, So forests are synonymous with ominous darkness, you go into the
dark, foreboding, haunted.
The fact that the fairies or the wolves will ride off with you if you go into the woods. Hansel and Gretel went off into the forest and, killed a witch, depending on how you want to see the story.
Yeah.
Many a game setting I've used is the forest has been haunted just to keep people out of it, to not despoil its richness and goodness, How many druids try to protect the forest by sowing rumors of evil things that are inside the dark forest?
And then there's the bandits who hide on and ambush people in the forest, so that's, it's one of those prototypical placement settings. I know like Dungeons and Dragons, but half the time you're in a forest and you hear, and a twig snaps and
or all of a sudden the wind goes.
But it's also cool because it's like forest is very evocative. So you could have the nice forest, the beautiful, but then it's nature, so you have the good side and the dark side, so the light side of the forest, the dark side of the forest, it's, it can go either way, and both of them evoke these images of, one or the other. It can be the mood, like, the dark, scary forest where, the ghosts are, or the monsters, or the really nice, idyllic forest where, Bambi's playing with, Thumper. It's, and it can change like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the beautiful things. If you just Google forest and look at the different pictures, immediately you get different types of inspiration. I mean, hell, just look at northern United States, the rainforest up there. I mean.
Well, the thing, there are so many different types of forests. You have rainforests, you have the like that part, but then you have the jungle type of rainforest. You know, you have jungles, you have pine forests, you have forests of deciduous trees. You know, it could be any number of types of trees as
and
well. So heck, there's a petrified forest in Arizona.
That is very, very true. And, you know, you could totally have a bunch of dwarves looking for petrified trees because, you know, reasons. Dwarves. It's a different type of rock, you know. It's a delicacy.
It's a specialty. It's actually illegal to remove petrified wood from the petrified forest.
Not if you're a dwarf in a fantasy world. The problem is when you run into the petrified treant.
Yeah, I see that. That's a really cool image. That's
somewhere between an earth elemental and a treant. He's so old, he's petrified. Or he had a Medusa for a girlfriend.
Or it's some type of cross with a golem. You know?
Or it's really a bunch of kobolds that put rocks together and made a mechanical treant, and they've been playing this off on everybody for years.
Yeah, I don't imagine kobolds being quite that inventive.
Okay, gnomes. Forest gnomes.
Yeah, gnomes, definitely.
Little forest gnomes doing their thing, which, you know, you totally need to still have that game happen sometime of the forest gnomes protecting their forest from the humans. So for forests, you know, like I said, definitely reinforce the don't go into the woods. As a GM, you can use a forest almost like a dungeon because it's in older editions, the group pretty much was either in the city or in the dungeon. And thankfully in later editions, the forest getting to the dungeon, getting back from the dungeon became its own side adventure, which is nice. But you can always, you know, give your players false information from the city about the forest. Because let's be honest, most old European forest folk, it was only the woodsmen that really went out into the woods. You know, everybody else stayed where it was safe. So you could throw out false rumors like I've used in stories where the elves are really xenophobic and hate the humans, you know, sort of like green elves from Forgotten Realms, because the humans have deforested the woods. So if you trespass in their woods, they put you down because they're trying to protect the last of the trees. You know, over 700 years as an elf, you've seen the forest shrink every year. You know, you get kind of paranoid. Or you could even do the angry druid in the forest, which is another favorite of mine. Not only are you having the cantankerous old man character, but you're having him want to make sure that nobody else wants to despoil the forest. I mean, after all, look in World of Warcraft. The Worgen were pretty much made in that regards to protect the woods.
Yeah, okay. Like, God, it's been so long since I created a Worgen. Like, I'm trying to remember the storyline.
That originally elves created werewolves to protect the woods. And see how these things get out of hand when you start making werewolves.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it probably wasn't the best idea.
I mean, hey, you could also look at it if someone made a werebear. A werebear has lawful good alignment. So basically, you could have your own version of Merida, the Disney movie. And instead of big angry bear ancestor, he's actually a lawful good bear that protects the woods. Think about it.
Yeah. The werebear, that would be good.
Once every full moon, he goes lawful good.
I'm gonna have to make a werebear that talks with a Scottish accent.
And every full moon goes around the town saying, only you can prevent forest fires.
And all the little werebears are gnomes. Ah, werecubs! With spiky hair!
I could only think that there's a werebear, good forest gnomes, and redcaps in the woods.
No, redcaps are evil goblin.
That's why you need the werebear to be the protector. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to...
I mean, cap is red because it's dipped in blood.
Of its murdered victims.
Of course, the fairy tale is of children, so no. No red caps.
They make the perfect villain. So, forest, don't be afraid to use it. Don't be afraid of using variations of it. because you could always easily, another favorite of mine is the forest that's half elves and good and half goblins and bad, because we know goblins and elves hate each other, so there's a great dynamic you can build up there. Pretty much every MMO ever has used that concept of good forest, bad forest, you know. It's a great place to do a sandbox if you want to make a sandbox adventure place for your players, because you can just come up with 5 different random locations and put arrows in the forest. You don't need specifics because the group will be wandering in the forest. And hey, you can use those wandering monster tables.
Mm-hmm.
And do the whole, you come across an ancient elf camp. I've used that one a time or two.
No, you come across an owl.
You come across the hag of the forest. She's always looking for new customers. So anything else you got there for Forest, Kelly?
No, I think we got to the root of the matter.
Okay, I mean, I guess we cut that down and made some timber out of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's probably a good place to take a long rest and set up a campfire in the forest, because you always set up 3 campfires around your players, so that way the owlbear doesn't sneak up on you.
True enough.
True that. And also, I'll just go throw it out there for your forest. Make sure you keep your forest as an ecosystem. Think about the balances that happen in natural ecosystems.
Yeah. Leave only footprints, take only photos.
Well, I was meaning you can't have too many owlbears and bears and wolves, but
I know, but I'm also quoting Sierra Club.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to be a good place to wrap it up there for hashtag RPGaDAY2020, August the 6th, Forest.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network, and feel free to enjoy our other shows such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.